All right, welcome to the video. In this video, we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to use Cursor. So we're going to use Cursor to create a to-do app in a simple HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And to get started, what we'll need to do is go over to the cursor.com website and download Cursor. Of course, I've already done this. And so we're going to go ahead and go to a folder to get this started. And what we're going to do is create a to-do folder. So I'm just going to title this to-do. Okay, so once this is done, we're going to click this little cursor icon button here to open this in Cursor. Now, in the previous video, I did a tutorial on how to do this. So if you'd like to check that out, you can do that. Otherwise, you'll have to open up the Cursor um, platform or the Cursor software and go through the open it from there. So we're just going to go ahead and click the cursor icon and bam, it opens it up. All right, so right now we're in the folder. We haven't created anything else except for the folder, so there's no files or anything in here. We're going to go ahead and start by doing Command L, and that opens up our little chat window up here, and that's what the tutorial is going to be on today, chat. So we'll go ahead and start by giving it a prompt. We're going to say, please create a to-do app using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And we'll press enter. Certainly, I'll create the simple to-do app using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Here's a basic implementation that allows users to add tasks, mark them complete, and delete them. So that's great. That's exactly what we want. And it starts with the HTML structure. So we can see our HTML right here. We can see that it's going to be using this a style.css file, and it's also going to be using a script.js file. So we'll need to go ahead and create these files. Let's start with the HTML, and we'll just call it index. And we're going to copy this code. So we have a little copy button right here. Once we click copy, it copies everything here. We can go over here and then paste it here, and then we'll need to save our file. So next, we know we're going to need this style.css. So I'm just going to highlight that and copy that. I'm going to go back over to our Explorer window here, and I'm going to click the new file icon to create this file. And this, I'm going to then go ahead and paste that there and save it. Next, we'll scroll down to our CSS here. And instead of copying it, this time I'm going to click this apply button. So this says apply to the style.css. So it's saying, do we want to apply this code to this file that we created and that we're in? Of course we do. So we're going to click continue. And then from here, we can review the code, and the green represents the code that it's going to be adding, right? So we can review this, make sure this is what we want, and then we can either reject it or we're going to go ahead and accept it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and save that file, and then we're going to go back to the HTML, and then we see our script.js file. So I'm just going to copy this. I always like to copy and paste as much as possible. It makes for making mistakes a lot less. So next, we've got our JS file created. Now we're going to go back over here to our chat window and scroll down. And now we see finally, let's add the JavaScript to make our to-do app functional. Very important. So we're going to just go ahead and click apply again. Do we want to apply it to the script.js? Of course we do. We'll click continue. And then we also have the reject and accept over here, and we're just going to go ahead and click accept here. We'll go back over here, and then we need to go ahead and save our file. Let's go take a look at our index.html file. And we see that it did create an HTML file. The HTML file has a head tag, and then inside it we have some meta tags. We also have a title, so this will be the title that'll appear in the browser tab. And then, of course, we are referencing this style sheet, which is called styles.css. If we scroll down, we see the body tag. Inside that, we have a div tag with a class called container. Very good. And then the title on the page is going to be to-do app. So it's in a h1 tag. Then we have a form here with the ID of to do form. So we'll be referencing this probably both in the CSS and the JavaScript. We also have a input field. So in this input field, we're also referencing, or we're going to have an ID to do input, and then a placeholder of add new task, and we're making it a required field. So they won't be able to click this add button unless they have this field filled out. Very good. And the type is submit. So we have an add button that is a submit. Below the form, we have a unordered list with an ID of to-do list. So I'm sure this will be used to populate the to-dos that we create inside this. And then, of course, we are calling our script, our javascript.js, our JavaScript file. Let's go look at our CSS. So it's created a body CSS, a body tag here. And so it's going to be giving us a font of Arial and sans serif, or default to sans serif. Background color is going to be very, very close to white. And then we're zeroing out our margin and paddings. We also have the container here that the form is going to be in, and it is going to be background completely white. It's going to be 600 pixels wide, and then we're putting a margin around it. And then, of course, we're having a 20 padding all the way around. We have a nice border of 5 pixels, and then a box shadow. So that should look pretty good. Then we're centering our H1 tag, which is going to be the title, and giving it a color of 333. Our form is using flex, and we've got a margin at the bottom of 20 pixels. Very nice. And then we're using flex grow of 1 for the to-do input. So that looks good. We've given it a border and a radius. We have a nice button here. It's got a green background, and then we have a hover we see here. So it'll nice little green tint change as you hover the mouse over the button. And very good. And we got more CSS. So you can go through this, and we see we have a delete button that's doing the same hover effect. That looks great. Let's look at our JavaScript here. So of course we're adding an event listener, and we're setting these constant variables to a get element by ID. So we're finding this element on the HTML, and we're setting these variables by what's in there. So that's very good. And then of course the form event listener, we are preventing the form from being submitted. So that's always important to do when you're using JavaScript. That way it doesn't refresh the page. And then we have an add to do function that it's calling. And the add to do function is right here. So I won't go through all of this, but we're using our variable here. We're using a create element. So, we're adding the list, and we're doing a lot here with the checkbox, add events listener to change when you toggle. So I'm guessing we're going to be doing the strike through, and then we have the delete button, so that should remove everything. Yep, that looks really good. Toggle complete, and then toggle parent element remove. Excellent. Okay, so we see that we have our CSS, we have our JavaScript, we have the HTML. Let's go ahead and test it out. I'll go ahead and use live server. All right, this looks great. Let's go ahead and type in our first to do. And we pressed enter and it submitted. I really like that. Let's go ahead and just type another one. Let's test our button though. Very good. Yeah, so this is great. Let's check the test out the to do, or the checkbox here for the to do, and it does. I like that it changes the I guess the transparency here, and it puts a little strike through even the through the delete button. So that's good. Let's just test the delete. It does remove it. Now we are in Fibril here, so we're not saving any of this. So it's not being saved to local storage or anything. but it is working as expected. And so this kind of gives you an idea of the power of how well how well Cursor is for using it to build websites. And you can continue to build on this. In fact, it says the information we create creates a simple to-do app with the following features: add task, mark task complete, delete task, responsive design. So it's saying a responsive design. Interesting. Let's see. Let's just see how responsive it is. Okay, yeah, it's responsive. All right, interesting. Let's go back here. To use this app, create 3 files, which we did. And see, it even tells you how to do this. This is really amazing. And then open the index in your web browser, which is what we did. And then you can further enhance this by adding these features like saving to-dos to local storage and editing existing to-dos, filtering to-dos. I mean, this is amazing. Adding a to-do date, categorizing to-dos. Let me know if you want to implement any of these additional features. If you have questions about the current implementation. Wow. Let's go ahead and say, um, please add the ability to save to local storage. Okay. Okay, so here it is. It's okay. So certainly, I'll modify the JavaScript to add the ability to save to-dos to local storage. So let's go back to our JavaScript here, and we have it selected. Um, and then let's see. This allows the to-dos to persist even when the user refreshes the page or closes and reopens the app. Here is the updated script.js. This is phenomenal. Let's go ahead and apply this. And it highlights and shows you what it's going to be changing to make this, save in our local storage. So we'll go ahead and click accept to this. Let's go ahead and save. And then let's go back and we're just going to do a hard refresh on our page here. And let's go to our application. We'll go to local storage. And so far we have nothing. Let's go ahead and add a new task. First to do, press enter. And sure enough, here it is. We are getting it stored in our local storage. This is awesome. So let's do a second to do. And that is awesome. That is really awesome. What happens when we do a strike through? So we set it complete equals true. And if we delete it, and it's gone. This is great. I mean, this is truly phenomenal. So have fun with Cursor. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be glad to answer them. In the next video, we're going to come back to Cursor again, but instead of using the chat to create the app, we're going to use Composer. So I hope you enjoyed that video as well. All right, that's all for today. Thank you very much.